Welcome to She Speaks, Voices of Empowerment. I'm Anne-Marie.
And I'm Shantae, and we're thrilled to have you join us on this incredible journey.
In each episode, we'll explore the inspiring world of women's stories through candid conversations with remarkable women from various industries.
From life advice and personal growth to navigating careers and breaking barriers, our guests will share their journeys, insights, and the valuable lessons they've learned along the way.
So whether you're looking for motivation, practical advice, or just a good dose of inspiration, She Speaks is your go-to podcast for celebrating the strength and resilience of women everywhere.
So prepare to be inspired and empowered as we uncover the power of sharing our stories.
Let's start speaking!
Hey girl!
Hey girl!
Welcome back.
Welcome back to the third episode!
And we're changing locations. For our listeners, we are trying different methods to get the best quality to
Best
you.
quality.
Yes.
Let us know what you think.
We're trying this
We
out.
love your feedback.
But again, thank you for listening. And yeah, today we've got a very special guest.
Yes.
Life updates. I don't have. Do you have life updates?
I might be doing like a cutesy little girl purchase. Like a little cutesy girl. As you guys know, actually do they know, I would like to do a triathlon.
You mentioned it briefly. But they don't know how serious you are.
Maybe they shouldn't know how serious
No.
I am.
She's serious, guys.
So I would like to attempt to do a triathlon at the end of the year. But in order to do a triathlon, I need to have a nice little road bike. Look, I say nice, but I feel like for some people, nice is something different. And for me, nice is just something that's
Cutesy nice.
That's cutesy. That's made out of carbon that can go the distance. So yeah, I might be meeting someone to go do that later today. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
If you get your thing,
Yes.
your bike.
My
Did you
bike.
mention bike? If you
Oh,
get
it's a
your
bike. It's a bike.
share it on our stories
I will.
so that they
I
can
will.
see your cutesy girly purchase.
I'll share it on Thursday next week because then you guys would have watched the episode, all of you.
All of you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have any life updates. My life is nothing.
My life is perfect. Sorry.
My life is a bit boring still, but I just got a call just before this podcast that I'm going to be a maid of honor to a very special wedding happening in April. So I'm very excited. Oh, we're going to plan the coolest like bachelorette girly things. I'm so excited.
That was Amy's maid of honor.
Okay, tell us, what do you like?
I feel like this is a topic for a podcast.
Okay, we will discuss this and then we'll give you feedback, but I'm very excited and so honored. Like, yeah, I just want to do everything I can to make this bride feel special because
Yes.
she is. Erin, shout out.
Woohoo, Erin!
She's gonna have the
Woo!
coolest surname, by the way. It's called Tree. So,
No, just don't say it like that. Tree.
Tree.
No! Tree.
I love you. Tree. Okay. That's all updates.
all.
Yeah. Okay, today we are chatting with Amy. We're so excited that she's with us. The topics that we will be covering is everything motherhood. This is not just for mothers to listen to, this is also for anyone that has the desire to become a mom or just wants to know what goes on behind this curtain of motherhood. Some interesting topics like breastfeeding, giving birth, reality versus expectation.
Also just like how to handle motherhood. I feel like how to deal with certain challenges that you might be faced with. And I also think this is a good episode. So like Shantae said, you know, moms to be, but I think also maybe friends of moms. Because I had to undergo quite a viewpoint change having Amy in my life. And I think it just you gain some insight into how to be a better friend to your mom friends. So hope you guys enjoy the show.
Welcome, Amy.
Welcome.
You are officially on She Speaks.
I'm excited to be here. So I'll tell the listeners from my side. I have known Amy. We did work it out today. We've known each other for 11 years now.
Oh wow.
We were placed into, what do you call it? Like, it's not a hostel. It's like it's not a digs.
It was like
It's not a res. It's like a
it was like an apartment block, basically. But you contacted the landlady, whoever, and you got a room of a 2-bedroom apartment, and she kind of just paired people together. So
based on like
Based on personality.
Based on personality.
She just kind of figured it out.
But she didn't even know us. She
us.
just asked us a couple of questions. I remember the question. Well, I don't remember the questions, but I remember she asked us a couple of questions.
I was kind of late. I think she just paired me with like someone.
Whoever was late.
I just remember saying, because she asked me like, do you go out a lot? And I'm like, no. I'm not that social.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I have
the same answer.
And then she's like, I have the perfect person for you. And I'm like,
you guys will never leave.
Yeah,
no, honestly, she got us like to the T.
And I think I saw her a little while ago. Okay, a couple of years ago now. And she's like, oh, are you guys still friends? And I'm like, yes, we are still friends. Like, would you believe it? So yeah, for me, it's very special to have Amy on the show today. But that's all that I'm going to say, because now I'm going to give it over to Amy to just, introduce yourself to the listeners. Yeah. Tell them your deepest, darkest secrets.
Oh no. I'm ready.
I might keep some things hidden.
Okay.
So I'm Amy. I'm from the UK. I moved over when I was 12. My whole family just moved over. I don't think I would ever go back. I love living in South Africa. I'm now married to a South African man.
Afrikaans man, by the way.
Yeah. Afrikaans.
And like I met Anne-Marie at university. Like we said, we were paired together when we were both students. I went to Stellenbosch and I studied social dynamics. After finishing that degree, I kind of knew that was never going to be my life. I didn't want to take that into a career, so I was still kind of a little bit lost. And I went and worked with my mom. We had a tire shop. It was like a small business. And what was kind of great about working in a small business is you get exposure to every part of the business process. And that's kind of when I fell in love with finance, and I decided to start studying finance, and now I am an accountant.
Yes.
An accountant at and an engineering company. So
yes.
Yeah, I found my calling that way. And then I have my husband Darby, who's amazing, and we have an amazing little girl, our little Millie Mice.
And she's just over 2 years old now.
Yes, she turned 2 in October, so she's just over 2. She's like a perfect little princess, honestly. So we got very lucky with our child.
She is very cute. Oh my goodness.
And she looks like a little carbon copy of Amy. But Darby, if you are listening, watching, she is looking more like Darby now.
Really?
Yeah, she
mole on their arm.
Okay.
Yeah, they have it on the same arm, the same like mole on their arm. It's one of the arms.
But I think you sent me a photo, I think it was around December time. You sent me a photo of the 3 of you. I want to say Christmas. And for the first time I was like, oh my word, like you can actually see like how much she looks like Darby.
Darby contributed.
Like in that photo, she looked way more like Darby than you. I mean, she still looks like you, but
No, it was kind of nice actually to have a baby that looked like me. I think most babies come out looking exactly like the dad, and I think I'm one of the very few moms where if I was out with Mila, people were like, it's you.
It's you.
So I studied philosophy, anthropology, psychology, and all of that. I knew I was interested in psychology. I enjoyed the studies, and I was interested in psychology, but I didn't want to take psychology really any further than just the bachelor's degree, which meant I wouldn't have a career in it because you have to kind of specialize and go like, I don't know, like 7 years of studies or something.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to do that. I kind of just wanted to get out of studies, and then I kind of was lost. And quite frankly, at the end of matric even, I was lost. I kind of did, so it's a Bachelor of Arts degree in social dynamics. And I kind of was thinking, let me just pick something pretty general whilst I figure out my life. And I still didn't figure out my life, but I definitely advocate like working, or I know with Mila, I'll probably encourage, or if she wants to do it, I'll definitely encourage her taking like a gap year and working between matric and university, because that's when I figured out what I want to do. And my husband as well, he figured out what he wanted to do, and he's got the career that he's in now, and that came from working. It didn't come from what he studied. He studied psychology, and now he's in like solar and energy. So
That's actually an insane concept. Like you're 17, 18 and you have to decide this is what I'm doing with my life. It's so unrealistic actually.
I think there's very few people out there that know what they want to do for their career at that age. And school, I don't know, I don't really feel like school prepares you for this. You have so many like academic subjects at school. I mean, you have like your arts. I also did like art, drama, music, all of that. but the variety of careers out there is not like these subjects that we take in school. There's so much more to life than that. And
I think especially when we kind of were studying, and probably generations before us as well, because now I feel there are a lot more options for young children. 17-year-old. The children, the youth have more options. So yeah, the reason why we actually have you on the show today is to speak a little bit about motherhood. I probably won't be adding a lot to the conversation.
But this conversation is not just only for mothers.
Yeah.
And that's what we also want to say to our listeners. This is something that mothers can listen to, people that have the desire to become a mom, or just anyone that's interested to know what goes on behind the curtain of motherhood. Yeah, so we're excited. We've got many questions for you, and I think it's going to be
we have a list.
a very big list. But thank you for being open to share your story, because I think also every single mom has a different story and experience to tell. Like yours is not the only one, but it's a very cool one to just know about, and we can learn from it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot that kind of goes on behind closed doors almost. I think there's a lot about motherhood that is not necessarily expressed. It's kind of hushed, as if, motherhood is such a normal thing. Like, so many women out there are mothers, so you kind of expect women can just handle motherhood and breeze into it, and everyone does it, so it's fine, it will be easy. It's not easy. Like, it's not easy. And I think that's definitely something that we can dive into, and the challenges that we face. And it's kind of nice to hear from other mothers the challenges that they face. You're not alone. Like, you're not a bad mother for finding this tough. Like, you got to find your way in motherhood, and that's it.
So let's kick off with the first question. This is going to be the easier one, and I think it's more like a lot of women, I think every single woman gets to a point where they want to know this question. How did you know you wanted to become a mom? How did you know?
How did I know?
I think everybody's answer is also different, but what was your specific
I think everyone's answer will be different. From me, I can't remember a point in my life where I did not want to be a mother. Like, I mean, we already spoke about now when I finished school and even when I finished university, I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life. My life has not ever been career driven, ever. My goal in life is to be a wife and a mother. That was all I wanted.
So I remember we are probably living together for like a week. And like one of the first things you said to me was, I want to be a mother. I want babies. I want to have children. I want to have at least 2 children. Here are my names. Yeah.
You have these goals.
It was, Yeah, I mean, that was the thing that I kind of desired about. So as soon as we got the opportunity to start trying, and life threw kind of curveballs in the way before we could start trying. So as soon as we could, we had our baby, and and it was just amazing. It was kind of a bit of a dream to get Mila. It was an amazing process to get her. I don't know. I remember that year that I was pregnant. It was the best year of my life. I'm telling you. So I also gave birth in that year because she's an October baby. So it was the best year of my life. It was the first time when I wasn't working and studying simultaneously. I had time to myself. It was like before I had like a child that moves around a lot. She was still 3 months at the end of the year. It was the first time I had time to myself. I could focus on myself. I focused on my health. I had time for me, and it was really the only year of my life that I've had that. And then also that year I had my child. I met my baby, so it was the most incredible year of my life.
Yeah. And side note, the baby smell. What can you tell people about it?
It smells like raw mincemeat. It was disgusting. I'm sorry. Really? Like, I hated
the first one that I heard that's like, no, I don't like the smell.
I used to smell my baby's like mouth. When he opens his mouth, I would just go.
Like, but that's not like the first baby smell. I'm talking about like the first baby smell when she was given to me.
Oh no!
Immediately, that I was shocked.
Okay, the baby is cleaned. It's a few days after that baby smell.
Yeah, I mean, that was never really a thing for me, I guess. I didn't really smell my baby. I think a lot of people have these things about their baby. you know, that they love. And there was another friend of mine that said, oh, her little feet are so cute, like kiss her feet. I'm not a fit person. I was like forced to kiss my child's feet to like please this woman. And I'm not a fit person at all. And I don't know if your son had the same, but Mila had these like craggly toenails that always like scratched you, right?
Yes.
And I was like kissing his feet. Not my thing, but if it's your thing,
I love the honesty.
That's fine.
I would put his whole foot in my mouth sometimes, but that was just because I can't explain it. Let's move on.
No, but you see, you have your thing with your child. Like, I can't think now what my thing with Mila was, actually.
So you always knew you wanted to be a mom.
Always.
But I think in society, people have different feelings. Like they're not always sure. They're not sure when they're ready.
Yeah.
So what would you say to a woman that's feeling the pressure of society saying, okay, you need to fall pregnant. It's time.
Ugh. Okay. So I guess with women, there is like a biological timeline technically. Like we have a limited amount of it. Like you hear this everywhere. I think it's generally accepted news, but the thing that my mom actually always used to tell me is she used to say, Amy, you have to like be sure that you want kids. It's really difficult. You have to be sure that you want kids. And I was like, you know, throwing it off like, oh, yeah, mom, I know I want kids. Like, it's fine. I want kids. It'll be fine. And she was like, you have to be ready. You have to mentally be ready. And I kind of understand it now. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like you, as the woman, you're the one that goes through the pregnancy, and not all pregnancies are easy. In fact, the majority of pregnancies are tough. You're putting your body through really a lot to carry the baby, to make sure you're eating enough, to make sure your body is healthy for the baby. You have restrictions on what you can eat, what you can drink, the kind of movements that you can do. It's a big toll. And then going through the birth is also not an easy process. Some people do have like magical miracle births. I've heard of it, like the water baths at home and all that. I was not able to do that, despite I had a pretty easy birth compared to the majority of mothers still, I think. And then after that, you are the one that your baby needs, actually. The baby is comforted by you because they've been associated with your smile, with your voice, with you. They've been inside of you for 9 months. So they need you. Most women breastfeed, or at least attempt to breastfeed in the beginning. You're the one that's feeding the child. The child needs you. You're the one that gets 4 months maternity leave. Your husband is not going to get 4 months maternity leave. You need to be ready. You need to want this as the woman, as the mother. You need to want your child. You shouldn't do it for anyone else. And it is sometimes tough, especially if it's a husband like that wants the child. That can be a tough point in the relationship to navigate. But if your heart is not in it, it's gonna make your journey
really difficult,
harder. It's gonna make your journey hard. And motherhood is hard anyway.
Yeah. So it's almost like you shouldn't pay attention to what society says, because also I've got friends that they had children at 23, 24. I would not have been able to, because I know I wasn't ready.
Oh, I was desperate to have a baby at 24.
No, I was not ready. I mean, my mom had her baby with my sister at 20. Yeah. So, and that was perfectly fine. But I said, for me, I was only ready after 30. And that's okay. So it's almost like, when you're ready, you know that you will be able to carry that responsibility. Yeah.
I guess that's probably the only place where I could weigh in.
Please.
Because I don't have a child yet.
Yeah.
But neither Alex nor I feel intense pressure. I guess there are some societal pressures. But the women that I'm surrounded with, so many of them like either had children really young, or had children like desperately wanted to have a child. But now you're also
situations got in the way that prevented me from having my child for a long time. But that also was a blessing, actually, because wanting that so hard, so bad for so long. I did a lot of prep work. I did a lot of research. I obsessed about what kind of parent am I going to be? How am I going to handle? I read about all the possible situations that you could get. I prepared my husband, like, if I get postpartum depression, like, this is what you have to do, this is how you have to be. You can't react like this. You have to react like this. You have to be the bigger person.
Love it.
You have to be the emotionally stable one right now.
Healthy.
Like, we were ready. Like, we were ready. And that And I think if I hadn't had to wait that period and be desperate that whole time, I would have struggled even more.
Yeah. So basically, also just don't cave to societal pressures.
Yeah, try to stand your own ground. You know, like you need to be ready, but don't dig your heels in unnecessarily. You don't like for the sake of an argument. Like I said no, it's gonna be no.
Yeah,
it's your mind can change. You have to be flexible as a person.
Oh my word, yes.
Please have a cookie. I'm gonna have a cookie.
Amy made like amazing cookies for us.
Yes. And she even asked like what my baby can eat. Like you did everything.
That's not for these ones. That's for muffins that are downstairs in Emery's freezer.
There are muffins for you.
So there's chocolate veggie muffins, and they have honey in them. So they don't have any added well, they have chocolate chips, which have sugar in.
He can eat honey now.
They're not. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was asking. I was double checking how old he was.
By the way, Amy is a baker.
Loads of veggies. Yeah.
And she is incredible with decorating things. So please go check it out.
Yeah. Also, on the honey note, between the two of you, there were so many things that I didn't know. I just didn't know babies can or can't eat certain things.
Like the one thing that was weird for me is when you have a newborn, you can't give your newborn water.
Yeah.
They can die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody says this thing.
But you know, that's actually recent because not recent, like it's true forever, but it's recent knowledge because I had family of dog, like aunt, like a young aunt actually of a young aunt of Darby's was saying, so she had twins and she was given the advice by a doctor, give them water. Like in the hot summer months, give them water. Like milk and water, but like give them water.
We'll get to the breastfeeding story, but it's just so amazing how our bodies are made because when it's hotter, your breast milk would also be more watery because, but that's a whole different side note. You can ask your question.
Should we finish our cookies first?
This is amazing, by the way. Thank you.
Yay! There's hidden fruit in this as well. I've become like skilled at hiding vegetables into everything. It started actually with my husband because he didn't eat vegetables.
Darby, you can turn off for this part.
Not for you.
This is on your section.
No, it's okay. It started with hiding vegetables for my husband, and then it was like he became aware that I was like I told him like every time we ate a meal like mashed potatoes, I boil up cauliflower and potatoes together, so he's getting cauliflower and potatoes and the mashed potatoes. And I would tell him like, how does it taste? Like, does it taste nice? Are you enjoying it?
You don't know.
There's cauliflower in here. So it would come out, and like I just hid it until he took the first bite, right? But yeah, no, I've become a bit of an expert with hiding veggies. Well, do like everything.
I know some of the stories, most of the stories. But can you share some of the challenges that you faced, you know, going into motherhood and being an early mother? Like any of the challenges that you faced in the early stages?
So the very early stage, the biggest challenge was UNISA. I think, as I've said, like I was desperate to become a mother for a long time. And one of the only things that was standing in my way was I just needed to finish my degree. So I would think at the end of uni, so I was almost crying myself to sleep every night because I desperately just wanted to start trying at least for a child. And I couldn't do that. I was working full time, I was studying full time. That wasn't possible. And that last year of my studies was extra tough because two of my friends that were not even like, the last I'd spoken to them, or actually it was one friend and my sister. The last I'd spoken to them, they were kind of still on the fence about whether they wanted kids or not. And all of a sudden they're telling me they're pregnant and I've wanted this for so long and I can't even start trying. And that was the same year actually that you bought a house for the first time. And I got a message from Emery saying, I have such exciting news to tell you. And I was thinking like,
Don't
tell me you're pregnant. This is not fair.
I wanted
this. And and then anyway, you got a house, so then it was fine. But that was something that was actually really hard for me. I remember when my sister told me the news, and it's in like you kind of emotionally torn because my sister told me the news of her pregnancy, and I was so excited for her, and I was so excited to be an aunt, and it was such a special moment, and I was so happy for her, like elated for her. But I went home and I cried myself to sleep that night. I actually went home and I cried the whole afternoon because I just felt I want this so bad and I don't even have the opportunity to start trying yet. So that was problem number one. Then it was time. I finished my studies and we got pregnant actually immediately. I had the most amazing pregnancy. I was symptom free the whole pregnancy. My stomach didn't really grow out that much. I was 8 months pregnant and like you couldn't even see I was pregnant. Right?
No.
I was tiny. My birth, I went to the hospital, had a birth. I did have to have an epidural, but I could have a problem-free, complication-free natural birth. I did struggle a little bit with birth. I remember turning to my husband and everyone saying, push, Emmy, push. And I turned to my husband and I was like, I'm trying. And I ended up having to have, they call it like a vacuum delivery or an assisted birth. Basically, they take like a metal toilet plunger and just like yank out the baby from their head. So she had a little like bump on her head for the first while.
Why? What? I also have a long story about birth.
Or Ashley would love to hear it.
I will tell you still.
So pregnancy, birth, conception, that was also easy. The first week was easy. The first week she was drinking. But then very early on, I realized I was having a problem with breastfeeding. My baby was underweight. She was consistently underweight. And that's really scary as a mother. That's really scary as a mother when your baby is not gaining weight and all they have is breast milk, and I didn't realize at the time because when you're breastfeeding, you can't see what's coming out. You can't drink.
And just for the listeners or maybe people that don't have kids yet, that stress, I think people are like, what do you mean your baby's not gaining weight? Like, oh man, they will be fine. But for people that haven't been through it, in the beginning stages, they weigh your baby every single week and they plot it against a chart and they follow it so meticulously. So if there's a slightest dip, you need to have to have it checked out. So I remember also that the weigh-ins, and if they haven't gotten enough, you feel like a failure. You feel like,
you feel like an absolute
So just to explain that it's really a big thing for moms.
I was looking back at pictures and videos of my child, and she had like those skinny legs and that swollen tummy, like how a typical...
Yeah, kwashiorskos is what they call it, isn't it? Kwashiorskos. Okay, never mind.
Malnourished.
I don't know.
Yes.
So she... Anyway, so the only thing that they're drinking at that time is your breast milk. It's the only thing. You don't have anything else. And we kind of realized that I was not producing... I was producing milk in the morning, and then from the afternoon to the evening, my body didn't make milk.
Sure.
And it was really hard. I can feel myself. I'm going to get emotional talking about this, but it's fine. Sometimes you just got to squash down the emotions a little bit.
Or you should just let them out.
You can feel it because it's real. And
it's real. And I think there's a lot of kind of societal pressure as well. So in your baby training classes, the advice that you get before you have the baby, they say breast milk is the best thing for a child. Breastfeed until whatever age, it's the bond, it's the this, it's like there's so much good with breast milk. They also say to avoid bottles, which we couldn't really do. I ended up having to express and feed with a bottle because especially in the evenings, I didn't have milk for my child, and my child was going to bed hungry almost every night. I didn't realize because I wasn't expressing, so I didn't know that I was not making milk. I thought she was just being fussy.
Yeah, because you can't tell how much she's getting.
She was starving. Yeah. And that was really hard. And then I started expressing, and that was when I kind of realized I'm not making milk in the evening, but I expressed as much as I could throughout the day. Every time Mila went down for a nap, and she only napped for 30 minutes. So I would feed her, she'd go down for a nap, 30 minutes, and then you express. I had at one point just the one like wearable pumps, then it's 15 minutes, and then she wakes up, and then you got to feed her again, and you're like empty. And so, it was a bit of like a cycle to try to get more milk. And I had a lactation consultant pretty much on call. I was sending her messages, I think at one point, like daily. It was really tough. And I ended up going back to work, and I was expressing at work, like at my full-time job, I was having to express every 2 hours, which is not really enough time to get your work done. You can't get stuck into things. So then here I am, I'm feeling like I'm failing to feed my child. I'm feeling like I'm failing to do my job. I feel like There's no part of my life where I am succeeding. And it was really hard. And then on top of that, the advice I got from my lactation consultant was to do this power pumping and hand expressing in between. For people that don't know what power pumping is, it's meant to boost your milk supply. It worked a little bit, but it didn't really work with me. But what that kind of meant was I would she was in a play school from quite young. She was 3.5 months old. We put her in her play school. It was an amazing school. She's super happy there. But yeah, so we put her in the school. Then the whole day I would like express. Every 2 hours I'd express, and then I'd come home, and then I'd have an hour in the evening where I had to do this power pumping and hand expressing. And yeah, and so apparently hand expression just on its own can help boost your supply. If you're doing hand expressing, power pumping, and feeding, like normal breastfeeding, all of that is meant to help. I did everything I could to try to boost my milk supply. I drank all the teas. I ate those lactation bars. I did everything. I tried everything under the sun.
Amy, where did you have time for anything else? Like, because it was work every 2 hours, power pump a whole hour. That is so much.
I had no time. And then in the evening I was power pumping, which is 20 minutes like expression with a pump, 10 minutes hand expressing, 10 minutes pump, 10 minutes hand express, and that continued for a full hour every single night. So my child was stressed. I was not spending any time with my child. I was sleeping in the evening with my child until 6 months we were in the same room. So that was the time that I spent with my child. I was sleeping while she was asleep. No time for my husband. I was not a wife in that time. I was not a wife. My stress levels were incredibly high. And by the way, that affects milk production as well. If you're stressed, you don't make milk. Yeah. So it's such a vicious cycle. I didn't have time for anything. And my child was unhappy. I was stressed. It got to the point where it was really a strain on the relationship. You know, I'm not spending any time with my husband. I'm a shell of myself. I have nothing to give. Like, I had nothing to give to my husband. He was dealing with an empty shell of a person.
But in the same time, you were also actually very sick.
In the same time, yeah, my body got incredibly stressed and I got very sick. So between all of this, I was I had gallbladder issues we figured out in the end, but the way that it presented in me was nausea, vomiting, runny tummy at night. So with a child that's also constantly waking up during the night. Yeah. So
but you say it very lightly and with a smile and with a laugh.
Yeah, I'm also like, how
I've recovered from the trauma.
How us as millennials deal with trauma, we laugh. Yeah. But on a serious note,
so it's I can talk about.
Like you actually, Darby said at a stage, you know, you were kind of prepping to go to hospital every other day because that was also the extent of your sickness. Like you were constantly in hospital, having to be put on a drip, having to also just.
I couldn't even drink a bottle of water and not.
So she was actually, you were in the hospital a lot.
I was in the hospital a lot.
What went through your mind this time? Like you've been through the whole breastfeeding thing and then your body getting sick. What was going on like inside your mind?
Yeah, like from a mental health perspective as well.
Like an absolute failure. I will get emotional now for sure. I felt like the only basic thing you should be able to do as a mother is feed your child. You don't need to there's nothing else that you should have to do. You don't need any skill for this, right? You breastfeed. The milk is meant to be there.
Sure.
And I couldn't do it. Do you need a tissue? I can get you a tissue. I'm okay. I'm okay. And I think there's so much pressure on women to breastfeed. The breastfeeding is the right thing for your child. It's the best thing for your child. But you know what? When you cannot be there for your child because of breastfeeding, because of stresses that are put onto you, literally because of breastfeeding, it's not necessarily the right thing for your child. Mm-hmm. The nutrition that you get from breastfeeding is great. But it's not necessarily the right thing for your child, for your family. And that decision to move over to formula, which I did after just 6 months.
You went on for 6 months.
Yeah, I did this for 6 months. I did this for 6 months and my husband actually told me, and there was a stage when I was thinking, so we tried introducing her to a few different formulas, and the first few didn't work, and my husband looked at me and he saw in my eyes, like, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to just keep breastfeeding until she's on solids. I'm just going to keep doing this. And he saw that look on my face. And he said, Amy, you are killing yourself. You are actually killing yourself.
Well done, Davy.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yes, like that's the type of
Yeah.
person that you need in your life, because
So,
there is so much pressure with the whole and breastfeeding is amazing. I mean, it has so many benefits, but a fed baby is best. However you get that into your baby's body, whether it's through a bottle, formula, whatever. But I'm sorry that you went through that and felt that pressure. I mean, for 6 months to continue feeling those feelings and just keeping on. Like, you're an incredible mom for just like pushing through.
It was hard. But another thing that helped me make my decision, we were touching on it now, was I had the gallbladder issues. And anyway, so with a gallbladder, it's hard. It's hard to even listen to. Huh? Yeah. So the thing with your gallbladder,
I saw your eyes also tearing up.
The thing with your gallbladder is you can't process fats, right? So I have to cut fat out of my diet. I can't eat even avocados. I can't eat nuts. I couldn't eat anything. This was leading up to after I found out the issue was the gallstones, until the surgery that I had to actually remove my gallbladder. I couldn't eat anything with fats in it. I had to be so limited. I didn't even cook with oil. I cut out all
Not
fats,
even like olive oils.
fats.
Yeah, even healthy. That's
Even healthy fats. I cut out as much as I could.
Yeah.
And this was actually something that really helped me make the decision. It's kind of layered, I guess, this specific point, but my milk changed color. Okay, I told you about this.
We can laugh about it now.
We can laugh about it now.
I'm sorry.
It changed color.
My milk changed color. So breast milk and milk in general is meant to be like this nice creamy color, especially if it's got fat. Stop laughing.
People will understand why I'm laughing now, but it's fine. Please carry on.
So it changed color. When milk doesn't have fat in it, it was like a luminescent blue, right? So my child that was already underweight, desperately needed as much fat as she could get in her milk, was not going to get that from me. My breast milk was now officially not the best thing for my child. Was officially not going to give my child what she needed, which was fats. I had to cut fats out of my diet. That was my health.
It was a risk.
It was something I had to
continue.
It was a non-negotiable thing.
Sure.
And that kind of helped me make my decision. And then on top of that, obviously, I was going to go in for a surgery. I was going to be on anesthetics. I was going to be on whatever. And you can't really breastfeed your child on that. You shouldn't be passing anesthetics on to your child. So that whole part that I went through on top of my life basically being in shambles, knowing that I'm not there for my daughter, knowing that I'm not there for my husband, not being able to work, the amount of freedom I got from moving from breast milk to formula was something totally unparalleled. And you kind of feel guilty about it. You kind of feel like you're choosing the easy way out as a mother. And if anyone else is really struggling with breastfeeding, don't do this to yourself.
You did not choose the easy way.
No, I don't think so either. Like,
it felt like a cop-out.
No.
I felt like such a failure. But a lot of that is societal pressure. Like,
yes,
there's a lot of negativity about formula. And I mean, it is true that babies will absorb the nutrients in your breast milk easier than they will absorb the nutrients. I will always be kind of pro breastfeeding if it's possible. If this works for your lifestyle, that's an amazing gift you can give your child. But you need to show up as the mother.
Yeah.
You need to be strong, like mentally, physically stable, maybe is a better word than strong. You need to be present as a mother to be the best thing for your child. And if that means you have to go over to formula, you can make that decision. That's an okay decision. You shouldn't be judged for that.
So what would you say to the mom that's now in the beginning of their journey? They see that they're struggling, they're feeling the guilt, and they don't know, they just want to continue. What would you tell them?
take your mental health into consideration. I would say you have to take a step back and look at the whole picture. Breast milk is great for your child, and no one can deny that the nutrients in breast milk are great, and they're even more easily absorbed than in formula. But it's not just about breast milk being good for your child. It's about, are you able to show up for your child? I was not showing up for my child. I was not showing up for my husband. There was disconnect in our relationship, and your child is also picking up on that. Your baby's picking up on that. And yeah, you need to take a step back and look at everything. You need to be able to be present. You need to have the strength to be the mother. You need to have mental health and clarity. You need to be there for your child. And if your breastfeeding is stressing you out to the point where you cannot show up for your baby other than to provide milk, that's not necessarily the healthiest thing for your child, regardless of the nutrients that are in there. I think there's a lot of societal pressure that tells you breastfeeding is the best thing for your child. And, I actually don't know a single mother that has successfully, even the ones that are the most successful at breastfeeding in their journey, I don't know a single mother that has not had a problem breastfeeding. Whether it's like latching in the beginning, sometimes that's a problem, whether it's continuing. Sometimes the breastfeeding journey is great, and then they're trying to like wean the child off breastfeeding. Sometimes that's the hard part. But if you can breastfeed your child, that's an amazing thing. And it's really a gift that you can give your child. If you can breastfeed your child and remain mentally stable, that's amazing. But not everyone can. I think there's a lot of mothers out there who battle with it and who also feel the same guilt that I feel. With the societal pressure, we know that breast milk is amazing for our child, but it's not just about that.
And I think it's not just with breastfeeding, but in motherhood generally. There's so many different things that women do differently because it works for their family. It can even be in giving birth. So I know of women that's done the route of giving birth without pain medication, and they loved it. It's amazing. Women that have had C-sections, it's amazing. They're both on both sides. You have to be strong to be able to go through that process. Or like I had the epidural. It was I love the epidural, by the way. But I think people have their opinion of what is the best thing to do. But at the end of the day, it's what is the best thing for your family. Is your baby happy, healthy? Is mama happy and healthy? Because then you can love on your child, enjoy the time together, and actually, enjoy it.
I know, like the only time that I was spending with my child, which I think I said earlier, was when the child was sleeping. It was the only time I was present with my child, and that's not fair to my child. I could do so much more for my child feeding her formula. Her quality of life was better when I was feeding her formula. And that's something that you have to see. Step back, look at the big picture. What is your child missing, and what would she gain?
And what are you missing? And what do you need to gain too?
It's very normal for mothers to just think about like what's the best for the child. But that is actually a big point. Like, you have to be the best version of yourself to be there for your child. And that means focusing on your mental mindset, your own health. We do it for ourselves, but we actually work on ourselves for our child. I feel everything's for the child, not for our child. But
so just before we go on to the next question, I want to just say something to our listeners so that they don't think I'm a total monster. The only reason why I laughed at Amy saying that her milk was blue is because I was reminded about in Star Wars, on Anakin Skywalker's home planet, they drink the blue milk. So I just want to put it out there. I didn't laugh when she first told me. I was very supportive. I feel like I was very supportive.
But she just got Star Wars flashbacks.
I think I told you in a text message. So if you laughed, I wouldn't have known.
You wouldn't have known. No, but I feel I was very supportive and very concerned. Yeah. But, it's been 2 years, so I feel like now...
But we're also best friends, so I don't get confused about anything.
Yeah, so now, especially not people forgetting birthdays. Sorry. I thought I'd just make that joke. No, but like now, I can be like, oh, it's Star Wars milk. Yeah. And you understand, it's coming out of a place of love.
Yeah.
So just looking back, it's been 2 years since Mila. She was born in October.
Yeah, she's just over 2.
Just over 2 now. So how has your mentality changed since being a mom? Like, what for you? Have you undergone some fundamental changes?
Yeah, I think most mothers do. The first thing that you figure out pretty early on, I think, is you have cracks, mental cracks as a person, and you need to work on yourself.
Fill those little cracks.
You'd be like, what is this?
You need to mentally work on yourself. I think also the year leading up to Mila, like the year that I was pregnant when I gave birth, I thought I was a perfect person. I thought I was doing everything right. I was happy. I was healthy. I thought like I'm mentally stable for anything. No, oh my goodness, your child finds your triggers. Yeah. You have to work on yourself so much so that you can set a good example for your child, firstly, but also so that you can raise your child to not have the cracks that you have. And I just also want to clarify, I had an amazing childhood. I had a super gentle, happy childhood, amazing mother. I was brought up right, I think. So these cracks are in everyone. This is not a common, some people, it can be a comment on how you were raised. Some people, there are triggers from your own childhood trauma. I didn't really have childhood trauma, and I still have these cracks. So everyone is going to figure out they need to work on themselves. As soon as they become a parent, it becomes very clear that you have problems. You need to fix them for your child or to raise your child right. So that was one of the things that kind of took me by surprise. Another thing that took me by surprise, especially because my whole life I've been saying, I want to be a mother. This was the dream I had in my life. I didn't care about anything else. I wanted to be a mother. I lost so much of myself and so much of my identity when I became a mother. And I was really not expecting that. Because that was my identity, right? Yeah. I wanted to be a mom. That was the biggest thing about me. And I didn't expect to lose myself. You know, I don't have time for my hobbies. You have limited time to work on yourself mentally. You have limited time to rest. You know, you're a mother, you're potentially also a wife. You have a lot more. You're a daughter, you're a sister maybe.
But also a lot of moms these days, a lot of moms are working moms as well, which you also are.
Yes, I also am. I also have like a standard 8 to 5 job. You have such limited time for yourself. I feel like I'm quite lucky. I kind of found my career calling. Yeah. So I'm lucky in that when I go to work, I'm work Amy, and work Amy loves her job, and work Amy,
she's fulfilled.
I find, I'm fulfilled, and I find a lot of myself in my job. Yeah. I love my work. I think I'm quite lucky. I don't think everyone really feels passionate about their work. So I am lucky that I have that. I'm lucky that I can find a lot of myself back in my job. So I have that, but a hobby, like I don't have any hobbies. I used to bake all the time. I think every weekend I was making a cake and I would bring it to work because, like I don't eat that much cake. I just want to bake it.
Yeah.
And you also had a baking, like a little business, like a little baking business.
Oh, a baking business.
It was not really a business. It was a bit of a business.
Yeah, because you were accepting orders and you were...
Yeah, I accepted orders and I sold some cakes for like weddings and everything. That was really fun. I loved that. But it was not really an official business. It was just kind of like a sideline hobby, but I'll bring in a bit of cash. Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, you love baking.
Yeah, I just, if I find it to bake, I bake. But the last time I really baked and decorated, it was not even a cake, it was cupcakes. It was for Mila's birthday in October. And this is from
Wait, didn't you do a Christmas cake?
No, I didn't do a Christmas cake. I didn't do a Christmas cake.
Oh my word. I know. That's just, sorry, my mind is just a little blown because like it's like the first time in like years that you haven't done it.
It's the first time I did a Christmas cake.
What did you do for Christmas?
Did I do a birthday cake for myself this year?
Were you
Yeah,
able to-
I did birthday.
Yeah.
Last
year.
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
think to your point in feeling like you lost yourself, I think people forget that the person going into pregnancy and the person after becoming like a mom is different.
Yeah.
Everything that you thought was important changes.
Yeah. I think of a lot of mothers feel the same way. And I think a lot of mothers are frustrated and maybe don't realize that everyone is really going through this. Like maybe there's like 1% of mothers that don't go through it, maybe. But most mothers are going through this. And I think a lot of these things are not talked about. So you feel very alone in the fact that you've lost yourself. I think, it's hard when you lose yourself and it's hard to reach out to people when you're in that space, you know, you feel guilty that you've lost yourself because you want your own wants and needs, but you should be doing everything for a child. And then you feel guilty for having wants and needs. Like that's a big thing as well.
Were you able
shouldn't
to?
feel guilty.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Were you able to find a support or community around you to help you, and that you could actually be vulnerable and say, "Hey, I'm struggling"? Were you able to find that?
That was something actually that was really hard for me. So Anne-Marie knows I'm a super duper introvert, so I find it hard to reach out anyway. Like I need a lot of time to myself, and I feel like I do process a lot of things internally quite well. Not everyone necessarily. That's not necessarily everyone's way of doing things to do it internally, but on top of that, I'm incredibly shy, and I find it hard to reach out. Even when I'm in a good space, I find it hard to reach out to people, and it's silly, but it's just, you know, I'm shy, and I do find that difficult. So when you're trapped in that spot, it's very hard. I have a mother that's amazing, so I could always speak to her. But I mean, even me and you, we didn't speak
that much.
Because I thought for 7 months.
Yeah, because I
after
thought,
was
you know,
born.
like maybe the friendship, you also, because I mean, I understand you know, you're busy with motherhood and just being a mother.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I didn't think, you know, maybe also friendships are being put to the side, which I was okay with. I mean, it was sad for me, but I just assumed that, you know, you were going your own way.
Yeah.
And then I'd now continue to go my own way. But I'd always love you.
It was hard.
But that's the thing, I didn't
trying to survive.
We weren't really there for each other.
But that's the thing, I didn't know what you were really going through. But I think just also knowing your mom, it's amazing that you had her, because I think your mom is incredible, and she is such an amazing, supportive mom.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, and I think you're very lucky in that regard to have a mom.
No, I'm lucky.
Like
I'm
that.
lucky to have my mom. And also, I just want to maybe clarify for people that don't have kids, if you have a friend that has a kid or has just had a kid, they're not going on without you. They actually would love it if you reach out to them. They might not reply to your text message for a week, but they are going to appreciate your messages. And that's, I feel like, the kind of relationship we have now is we just send each other random messages and they may not get a response.
But see, because I also thought that I was intruding. Like, I didn't want to intrude, for example. But here is just a little sign. Just reach out to your pregnant ladies or to your new mom friends.
I had that moment after giving birth. I had a friend that had 2 babies before me, and I also felt like I was intruding, and I was sent her a message every now and again, like, hey, how are you? If you need anything, let me know. And I've also realized that's not always the most helpful thing necessarily to say, because who's going to say, oh, I need this? Rather say, I'm just bringing you a meal.
Just like pitch up with
you don't. I'm not even
good.
coming in. I'm just putting it at your doorstep. But I remember after Caleb was born, I actually cried, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know how to be there for you. And it made me realize that you don't know until you know.
I did not know. Like, I did not know how to be there.
But that feeling like you're intruding, it's real.
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Everyone feels like that.
I'm the victim in this. No, I'm joking.
No, but even after I told my friend and I said to her, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. And she's like, no, it's okay, I understand, because she was also in that space before she got kids. So it's really, It's fun.
No.
But I know what to do now. I know what to do.
No, honestly, like, if help is like on our doorstep, we'll take it. But we won't like ask for help.
Yeah, and same the other way around. If you're going through a tough week, just be like, and then
Just a crying face in your life.
there's just coming a lasagna on your doorstep.
I love
Go.
a lasagna. I love a lasagna.
You love pasta.
Oh my goodness.
She just commented on
Oh
the
my
amount
goodness.
of pasta
She
in my
moved
cupboard.
downstairs and she opened her cupboard and there's like bags of pasta.
Please,
and she has
show me.
She has, I think,
It's five.
different kinds of pasta, but she has multiple bags of each pasta. Yeah, like
Are
the
you
cupboard
going
is
into a personal
literally
lockdown,
full.
girl?
I love pasta.
Okay, we know what to get you for your next birthday.
I love ya.
Okay, I feel like we have still so much that we can talk about. So
Yes.
again, for our listeners, Amy is coming back.
She is coming back because there's actually a whole segment that we didn't get to.
Yeah,
But we're not
Yeah.
going to give any spoilers.
no spoilers. Just,
Okay.
just know that there's a lot more that she can share.
I think the biggest thing for me is that as a mother, you've got to bring so much of yourself into it and you have to be fully present, and every person's journey is individual, and that is actually a big thing that I learned from motherhood is my judgment of other mothers kind of disappeared. Like before I was a mother, I was thinking, you're not raising your child right, and now I'm thinking like, good job.
Yeah.
You got this.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
So yeah, like if you put yourself into it, it comes back to you. And I think that's something that I've definitely found with my child as well. Like the more I give into my relationship with her, the easier I find it. The easier I find motherhood. We have more of a bond. We understand each other more. And she's the easiest child to parent at this point. And I feel that's because my husband and I put in the work to enjoy her and support her.
But
and show
also, you're
understanding.
also focusing on your relationship with your husband, your relationship with Darby. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, because one thing that I also would like to say, the piece that I could add, I saw a very beautiful, there was a voiceover, like a TikTok reel voiceover. And they said that, sure, you know, the big thing is I would die for my child because that's what everyone says.
Yeah.
But the actual thing is, would you work on yourself for your child?
Would you live for your child?
Would you live for your child?
Yeah.
Would you change your bad habits for your child? Would
Yeah.
you build up your marriage for your child?
Yeah.
And I think that was such a beautiful view to have, because I think that's exactly what you and Darby have. You are working on yourselves for your child. You're working on your marriage. You're working to create a very stable place for Mila. And I think that's incredible.
Yeah. And I think that's also a big takeaway maybe from this, is because I've been saying a lot, you have to work on your mental health for child. If you work on yourself, you can be so much more present with your child. You working on yourself and being the best you that you can be as a person, not necessarily as a parent, you're showing such an amazing example to your child. You're showing your child you can live, you can be mentally healthy, you can be happy, you can enjoy things, you can do anything you want in the world. And I think that's really, to be able to model something like this to your child, you are giving them really a gift. Work on yourself.
Work on yourself, people. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you so much, Amy.
See you next time.
Yay!